Some of you know that about 4 years old in my report taking devotees on Parakrama, 4 years, some of you might not know. So one day, or actually one evening, actually say 1 week, I went to my favourite place, I went to Untitled Chapter for 3 days in 1 week. So on a Sunday, Rajana, my authority, he phoned me up, and I said, so what's tomorrow? If anything, is anything doing tomorrow morning? I said, yes. He said, you know Hospital Road? Do you know Chandramukhi's house? Yes. You'll be there 9:15, the car's already arranged, that Chandramukhi, Ji, and Krystyna Dasi, and Mother Kulangana, they want to go on, Mother Kulangana wants to go on Parakrama for 3 days. So I thought, well, this is perfect. And then everything's arranged, we got there 9:15. And then, sorry, I missed a bit out. Then I asked Bhakti where Mother Kulangana been. He said, if you don't know where she lives, Chandramukhi Maharaj, Mataji, she lives just across the road from the yoga pit. So she's been to Antadweep and Sanatadweep and already. So I said, you go take her to Bodrum tomorrow. So I'll be back by 1 o'clock, 1:30. Okay, so got there and then eventually, then we got there, because normally you get from Bodrum to Jalanti, but we drove around the long way, so it was a bit longer. And Mother Kulangana, she was so happy. That's it. No, she's really blissful and happy. She hasn't seen these places, but she's actually read about them, but actually hasn't seen them. And part of the service I have to explain the pastimes of these places, and she was full of, and she was listening to every word I was saying, and she especially liked Bhakti Thakur's house, Sucirani Dasi. She really liked that place, and she liked. Then on Bodrum we generally go to Radha Karuna, Bhakti Thakur's house, Harrow, etc., Amgat, and then end up at the Shinga Palace. And she liked all these places, but she really liked Bhakti Thakur's house. But also she was fascinated by seeing the deity of Harihar, half deity of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. And she was really blissful about going around these places, and she was talking on the way back, and she's saying, you're very lucky to have this service. I said, I know. And then the following day, went to Modwandweek, the Hamsagavan deity, where the deity form of Lord Brahma's swan carrier took Lord Shiva to hear Gauri Guitar at the forest of Narasharanya in that area. And there, the Bajari, I was thinking if it would be nice if Mother Kulangana could actually, the deity's only about this size, deity form's only about this size. I thought it would be nice if she could actually pay the deity, which the local Bajari does. And so he came as we were just arrived, he opened the door, and he said, "You want to bathe?" He said, "Mother, you want to bathe the deity?" He said. So she bathed the deity, and she was really happy and blissful about that. And then we went further down to Brahmapushka. The other place we couldn't go, was too far for us to walk. So then the third day we went to Modwandweek on second day. Then the third day was Modwandweek, where the Mamgachi area, and she had darshan of Vrindavan, Dasata, all deities, and Sarangan Thakur's deities, and so on. And Jagat Priya, who lives there, Mamgachi, he's 81, last time I heard, and he's been there 60. He was sent by his Guru Maharaj at the age of 11 to serve the deities. So he's been there ever since. So his Guru Maharaj gave him the instruction that whenever guests come, he must give them prasad, must give them. So Mother Kulangana, she went there. And Jagat Bandhu, if you know, he's bent double, he walked. He's bent double, and he insisted that he get some prasad from Mother Kulangana, because he recognized that Mother Kulangana was a special devotee. And his English isn't that good. And I could understand a little bit about. I couldn't speak Bengali, but I could understand it. So then I understood that he wants to serve some prasad to Mother Kulangana. And Mother Kulangana didn't want to stay that long. But I said, Mother, Jagat Bandhu wants to serve you. And he's a special devotee himself. He says, you're a special devotee. So he wants to serve you. And that she got a bit embarrassed about. But then he cooked a little prasad for her and all of us. About 20 minutes. And then we went back, and then she left to go back to the UK on the Thursday. So those 3 days I think were very special for me, because I had to take Mother Kulangana around Holy Dham, and she was very, and she came to me. I saw her last time. I saw her for Aarti in the evening, and she said, "Thank you very much for taking me around. I've always wanted to go around, but I never wanted to take me around." And then she gave me a big hefty slap and said, "Thank you very much." and then she got on the rickshaw to back to Chandra Mukima's house just down the road.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so thank you very much for organizing this wonderful event here today. And I think whoever put these pictures together is also beautiful. Who did this actually?
Demo Prabhu and David Prabhu.
Yeah, I see so many, over so many years photos there, you know, from our Bhakti program, like this. Yes, so, yeah, obviously, we live with Mother Kulangana in the ashram, so he spent many years, actually, I just lived there for 14 years now, so
Excuse me, Mother, you can
so you think that
so we want to hear very carefully what you are saying.
you sit on the chair.
Can we get the daughter the speaking and we can't hear them? Sorry.
Sit on the chair.
Thank you.
Yeah, so obviously quite a long time actually we were living and serving together in the Brahmacharya ashram. But as it is, you know, you do things and then you don't recognize really. There's so much time has passed and so many exchanges must have happened in that time, you know. Yeah, but for myself I must say that that was from the very beginning very encouraging always, you know, very encouraging on my spiritual path, and very motherly care. So I got from her whatever I needed, you know. Of course, first she took care of my sadhana, so that that was the first thing, you know, always being there for the morning program, and even getting up earlier. That came later, you know, after a couple of years actually, but then she sheltered me and she knocked even on my door, you know. When she understood I wanted to get up early, then she really came also on my door and got me out from the bed, you know, like it feels fine, you know. And like that, so she was very caring and she knew that she wanted to go forward, you know, so then she assisted you in that very strongly, very practically, you know. And so but she was also giving the jacket which we needed, you know, when any donations came in, you know, or something for her. And she thought, oh, that's really nice. Jagat Priya, what do you think about this? You know, have a look at this. Just try it on, you know, see how it looks like, you know. And this is what she was doing, yeah. And she always came, because we were staying on the next door, next room, so she was always popping in within the day, you know, and just how things are going, you know, like that. So, yeah, and so Mother Kulangana, yeah, so she is a very amazing girl. So I was always surprised also how, of course, about her spiritual beauty, about her spiritual wisdom and her intuition actually. When you live close to her, you felt like, my God, she really knows from within and she's really guided by Krishna, you know. How she's suddenly there, how she's saying suddenly things, you know. Just as if she would have read within, you know, what you were going through, you know. So she was just there, you know. So that was also very nice. And then she was always very supportive. She wanted to help, but as soon as you understand that she understood, okay, maybe she doesn't want to go that way, she wants to go this way, and I also believe that Krishna is right with that, you know, that he will support you in that way. You know, so she really is very careful in this. Very careful, yeah. And yeah, so she was really the backbone of the ashram and giving us a lot of shelter and support and strength, you know. And even when I started to give classes in the evenings, you know, she was always, yeah, yes, very good. What did you say? And she said I could understand, or sometimes she may say, I didn't understand any word. Can you not speak a little more clearly, speak more slowly, you know? And she would like that, you know. Or she would encourage very much, yes, you must continue, you know. Or when we went on book distribution, she went with us on harinams, you know, she could walk, so she was going with us on harinams. Later on, she couldn't walk so much, so we made sitting harinam. She was sitting with us, you know. And then to see her exchange with public, you know, that was also very interesting always. When we went together on books, and she will really grab that person, you know. maybe not with hands, but she made a bubble around, and the person was really there, and she was talking, and going on and on and on. Then this person really said Hare Krishna, and she tries to preach to this person. And for me it was then a little bit too much. I thought, okay, let me distribute here a little bit, I was distributing them books here, but I looked backwards and she was still really, but she really had very amazing exchanges with these people, And when we went for shopping, she would always say to the person at the cashier point, can you say please Hare Krishna? Wherever we went, so she was always speaking Hare Krishna. So in this way, there were so many things in India. Then I went to Savannah also to South India, Radha Karuna sponsored this trip, and like many devotees went every year with Mother Kulangana to South India for the massage there she had. And she continued her service, she continued her sadhana there, very strong sadhana, getting up 1 o'clock in the morning and being in the foyer there, watching the moon, up and stars and chanting around. And but she really, you saw then a little other side of Mother Kulangana as well, that she also really took that time to be relaxed, a little bit relaxed, as you can say. Means she enjoyed prasadam. She enjoyed to cook and eat them. She didn't eat that much at the temple. She had always the same sabzi, but when there, we bought vegetables along, and then she said, hey, you can do like this, you can do like that. And then we cooked some things, but we always had a beautiful lunch. We had a wonderful lunch. Also she ate and paneer and different things. So really enjoyed that time of being there and having time also to eat nicely. And it was definitely amazing time. And now when she's not here, so there are of course many memories throughout India in the temple, really, because all the time we were in the temple, so there are so many memories popping by all the time. So she's been there in some ways, Now she's to keep up her example, and to follow Prabhupada, which is basically that was like an example fight, the teaching. So she always ran morning and evening program, so that was also very interesting. And she was always listening to class, and whatever she did, she was always accompanied by lectures on Prabhupada, and then she would start to speak to others about it, to share with them what she had heard, A lot of hearing all the time. She was doing. That's all I can share here.
Okay, so we're hearing some wonderful stories, and we're in an amazing environment. I'd just like to give a little introduction about the Bhakti Center. Actually, it was because of Mother Kulangana and Radha Karuna and their hard work and actions that made this place possible. So, we're very grateful for Radha Karuna and Mother Kulangana to have this place. And Jagat Priya, Radha Karuna's father. You see the sign outside, it's Jagat House, that's Radha Karuna's dad's name. And he's sponsored a lot for getting this place set up. And this is a Hare Krishna Youth Hostel for young men. So I moved here 4.5 years ago, and Achitra is standing there. He's the first resident of Bhakti Center. Came from Iran, and he just moved in here. And then I moved in here 4.5 years ago. I just happened to find it by chance on sparerooms.co.uk, looking for a place to live, go through some distress in my life, and I found it after a week looking on sparerooms.co.uk, and I came here, I sat literally there, where the table was. I was asked to sit there and wait for Radha Karuna, who wasn't here, Some of you might have experienced that pastimes with him. And I was in with the Harrow Mataji, who's one of the cooks here. And it was amazing. I was actually in tears sitting there thinking, this is the place I need to be. This is where I'm going to get my healing. This is where my soul's going to get nourished. And I was yearning for it for many years. Living out there in the material world as we all are. And I was just very in a distraught and distressed state of affairs in my life. And I moved here. And so yeah, I just decided, yeah, I want to live here. And I had an interview process with Radha Karuna. I'm sure he spoke to Mother Kulangana about it. Going through the application process of seeing if I'm suitable for living here. And yeah, I managed to get a room here, living upstairs. And in another room, helping out with little things here and there and everywhere. And I started getting involved with DIY maintenance and getting things and helping things done, just like a tutor and Radha Karuna, getting the TV set up. Just yesterday, me and Pia Prabhu installed the screw into the wall. It was a big job. For Mother Karuna's photo. And those shelves. And so many things. I just look around and think it's amazing. And Mother Karuna just really appreciate those. Obviously, those deities are hers. So those deities are Mother Karuna. Is that correct? She gave those deities. They're very powerful. Every time I look at them, I look at their faces to see if they're smiling or not, if they're happy with me or not. I can tell if they're not happy with me or if they are. Usually they're happy with me, but otherwise they're sort of telling me off. So you have to good relationship with them. Yeah, when I was with Mother Kulangana, the times when I was with Mother Kulangana, yeah, she was always preaching, she was always interested in how am I doing, am I getting enough prasada at the Bhakti Center. So she was always sending something with Radha Karuna from the manor. Like Mangalati sweets or something. She was sending something all the time. And I remember one time I was in the car, I was driving the Bhakti Center van, and I was given the opportunity to drive for her, and she was really praising me, and she was asking me to give Radha some driving instructions. So we had a really good fun with her. She is really a real joker, I feel. And that's a great hallmark of a devotee. Someone makes you laugh and makes you feel joyful and happy. But it's not always about the stick and just whacking me. She does that as well in a verbal way. And she was always telling me, chant, are you chanting? And I was like, hanging my head low and I was like, not really. And so, I couldn't lie to her, so I just tried. And she was like, oh. And then she wouldn't like make me feel bad. She'd just say, okay, just whatever you can do. That was in my beginning of my Christian consciousness when I came here 4.5 years ago. So yeah, I had great times with her. And I'm sure there's more stories of devotees who spent more lengthy times in interactions with her. And so therefore I would like to call upon Krystyna Prabhu next to speak. And if we can all give a round of applause for her.
Thank you for allowing me to come here. And why don't you go back to these chapters? When Mother Kulangana passed away on what we thought was the day before Janmastami, we found out actually it was in the Janmastami Tirtha. So it was actually on Janmastami she left this world. That was also an anniversary for me when I first met Mother Kulangana. It was the day before, I thought at that time, Janmastami. And actually it was the day before Janmastami, but I met Mother Kulangana, it was down the field. I was in the field which is now called the Yastra, or the car park area field, and I was chanting. And Mother Kulangana was walking up on a rough path, very old rough path it was then, for the Goshala. And very cold place, this Goshala, it's just a barn actually. And she was walking up with a trolley, you know, the two wheels where they put the churns on. And I went over to her, and she was pushing a huge churn up there. And I said, Mother Kulangana, you know, I knew her by name, but I'd never spoken to her. I said, can I help you? She said, no. You must chant your rounds. So you know what that means. When Mother Kulangana says chant your rounds, it's not, you must obey. And, but what was even more so, you know, so she was, first and foremost, she was thinking about me. And then she said, it is the day before Janmastami. The devotees, there's no milk in the kitchen for them. They must have their milk. They're fasting tomorrow. So she'd gone to the Goshala to get some milk. And she was, you know, she was strong, but she was pushing this. And if you saw that old rough track in those days, up in the Goshala, you know what I mean? It was a trek, you know, and there's mud, and there's big holes in the ground. And she was pushing it up to the kitchen. So that was my first encounter with Radha Karuna. Her concern for the devotees. Amazing personality. Thought nothing of herself. You know, all the time it was others. But not only that, she had anxiety all the time for the devotees. Now I heard Prabhupada say the other day, very wonderful thing. He said, our goal is anxiety. And I thought, what's a strange thing to say? He said, actually, the Mayavadis, they want peace. But he said, no. He said that actually the devotees, they want anxiety for Krishna. They want to achieve this. This is the goal. To be anxious to serve Krishna. Anxious to please him. And I thought Prabhupada's really going on another dimension here. And he talked about the Mayavadis, you know, how they want peace. But it's self-orientated. Her anxiety was always for Krishna and the devotees. So actually we're talking about a very high level of Bhakti. Because it's, I remember this occurring to me once, that if you can't love the devotees, how can you love Krishna? And that's a question that struck me when I was first here, that somehow we have to develop some love and attachment with the devotees. And that's difficult. Anybody disagree? It's really difficult because we're all personalities. But somehow Mother Kulangana, in her spiritual vision, like Prabhupada, managed to see good in everything. All the time. But also, she saw our faults. Anybody disagree? You know, so this was her blessing. She'd see the good, but also she'd see the faults. And for me, her chastisements were the best. I remember once I was in the prasadam room, and I was talking to her, and I was criticizing what was happening in the big kitchen. And then she turned round to me and looked at me, and she said, with such intensity, give me that. And I was shaken. Actually, I was really wobbling. It took, it was like a knife cutting into me. My false ego. Cutting in there. She saw this criticism. It's the first thing that whenever this happened, she would go silent. So she was going silent on me. It's a heavy stuff. Mother Kulangana, especially if she says no something. And also, I was once quarrelling in the kitchen with somebody, with one of the cooks there, about this and that. Then, after a while, she spoke to me after, and she looked at me and said, "You spoke just like a carving." And then this face, it's all contorted. And I thought, oh God. And it actually, but it's a knife that is meant to purify us. And it's like a surgeon's knife. And we're very fortunate that actually we met such a person who was so loving that she cared about us in such a way she would also chastise us. It's not this sentimentality. It's nothing to do with sentimentality. She wanted us to become elevated, to improve. And this was her glory. But she wasn't thinking about her glory, she was thinking about our glory. So, all I can say is, Mother Kulangana,
Hi Krishna, thank you for allowing me to speak just a few words. I didn't have so much experience with Mother Kulangana. I met her first in 2010 when I came to the Bhakti program. So I didn't know her for such a long time, and a lot of time between then and her the last year or 2 years, I wasn't really at the moment very much either. But I can say that the experience that I did have with Mother Kulangana was the most sweet experience I ever really had, and that she's the most caring and wonderful woman I ever met in my life, and that her guidance and influence in my life has touched me in such a way that words don't really express it well enough. And I really feel that maybe I will be able to repay her only if I continue to serve you all, inspired by her and the way she did as much as possible. Will I ever know what to do with the energy that she gave and the love that she gave? So I'm very grateful to her for allowing me to serve her in the way that she did, especially towards the end of her time in the body that she's in there. I just wanted to say the little things about her sense of humour, which I felt was the most amazing thing, because actually that was what inspired me the most about her. Because she never really took things very, very seriously, and because she took things very seriously, then actually she was the most lively and funny person. And many times she made me laugh. Maybe I can tell you a little bit about how I came to help caring for her towards the end, or towards the beginning, because it's now beginning a new life. Mother Kulangana used to come to the Goshala to see the cows, and you will probably know that she was brought up on a farm, so she loved the cows. So when she was in a wheelchair, she would come to the Goshala, and she would see me there looking after the sick cows, and she was popping in just to check and ask a few questions and then go away, not really stay very long. But one day towards one day not very long ago, I came to see her, and she's been always such a guide there. Whenever I was really in need of someone to talk to, or just feeling a little bit wobbled by the world, or not like there was no one else to go, nowhere else to go, I'd sneak in the ashram and go and say hi to Mother Kulangana. She would always be there. And so one day I went there and she was saying, complaining, I don't even have time to wash my hair. And I'm cooking everyone's lunch. I've been doing this for years, cooking the lunch here. And, because we'd all go there for lunch and she'd give everyone a bit of prasad. No matter who it was, how many people there were, always there was prasad for everyone. And then I began to feel like, Mother Kulangana this is not her usual mood. She's usually so welcoming. She was a little bit stressed out. So then a few I offered, can I help you with your hair? And she's like, no, you can't get in the shower with me. Don't worry so much. And later she was okay. She got everything done. She washed her hair. But then later I came in one day and I said, Mother Kulangana, how are you doing? Are you okay? And she said, you know what? The cows get better treatment than me. Oh, Krishna, and I was thinking, oh no, what? Now what can I do? And I knew that at that time, after all this, I had spent some time getting to know her. I really knew that this time she's really serious. She knows that she needs some extra help, and she's in her own funny way. She's telling me, I need some more help. And so another funny thing was that whenever she used to come and watch me singing, she'd hear me singing in the temple room on her radio, and then she'd come and I'd see her, most Sundays I'd see her pop in to just check, keep an eye on my kirtan, and she'd say, you're sounding much less selfish today. Something like that. So I knew that she was keeping her eye on me, and I always felt like she was keeping her eye on me. Or she'd sit next to me and say, I like your sari. In the middle of japa, I like your sari. And just the most unexpected things, and just being so caring. So I then thought, I really need now to offer something back to Mother Kulangana. And the only thing I can feel like she's asking me for is maybe she wants a massage, because I was always, at that time, or still sometimes do massaging the cows. And I knew that Kumashri also massages the cows, and that maybe this is what she's saying. She's saying she needs some massage. So I offered to massage Mother Kulangana, and it was the most wonderful thing. She was. I was so grateful to her for allowing me to do such an intimate thing. So consistently then I'd go and massage her, and what to say about it. So, and then she started to deteriorate quite rapidly after that, and so I'd go in every day and massage her and take her out and read to her. And one day we took her out and we were reading Krishna book to her, and we sat in Prabhupada's garden on the bench there, and she was uncomfortable. She wanted to, her muscles were like when the sick cows we're looking after now. Tulsi, her muscle strength is gone. She's very weak. She's practically skin and bones. And Mother Kulangana was similar. She was very thin, and she didn't really have much padding on her back to sit on the chair. And she was tired. It was good that she was out in the sunshine, but she was also she wanted to flake out. And the bench was very hard. So anyway, we were sitting there, and Radha Karuna was there reading to her, and she was wanting to lay out on the bench. And so I said, Mother Kulangana, And I sat next to her, and I said, I can put my shoulder around and you can lean on me. And all of a sudden she turned around and she put her head right in my chest here, like a baby, and there she was, and she remained there for all this time, and I was just holding her. Radha Karuna was reading Krishna book, and we all sat there. And it was just amazing. Having Mother Kulangana there like that, and holding her in my arms, and she feeling like she really trusts me. You know, she's kind of so vulnerable. She's so exposed. She's like a child, and she really trusts me, and I'm here, and I can take care of her as much as I can just by holding her. And then I felt like maybe she's falling asleep, but actually, what happened is she was listening so contentedly, she was really listening to what Radha Karuna was saying, and we all then thought maybe she's gone to sleep, but we started to chant Hare Krishna, all of us in unison, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then Mother Kulangana looked up, and then she started to chant Hare Krishna, and then it was okay, Mother Kulangana was okay. And so for me, then I just felt really close with her and continued to massage her and read Krishna book to her. And those times were the most wonderful times. My own mother was not really there for me when I was a baby, and so I really felt like this time with Mother Kulangana, it was like such a mothering experience. It was this female adult who really cared, and she was also, because there was such a love there for her, I could also reciprocate with her, and that, to me, that's the most valuable thing I think I feel like I ever experienced, that loving connection with another human being like that. I never really felt that before, like, so much. And so I'm eternally grateful to her, and I'll never ever forget her, ever. And it was just a small amount of time, and towards the end it was really quite tough. It read such nectar looking after Mother Kulangana, and the way she was continually so focused on the holy name and so focused on listening to Prabhupada, and how she was so determined to go back to Godhead. She was amazing. I never witnessed anything like her determination, how she was constantly holding her japa, constantly chanting, even if she had basically no strength and no breath left in her body. And the most incredible thing, when she was really, really sick and she couldn't even keep any food down, and we were trying to get her to have some water, and one time we were trying to put water in her mouth, and she started to cough because it had gone down long, and she just started chanting Hare Krishna, so loud. She hadn't spoken for I don't know, hours or days even, and then she started so loudly Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I was just amazed, completely amazed by her determination and focus on the holy name. And if I never learn anything else in Krishna consciousness ever, I feel like I could just take that with me, and I hope that that's what I remember also through my whole life, just to be as determined and focused and kind and sincere as Mother Kulangana. My life will be successful because she's amazing. So I'd like to thank every one of you for everything that you've done for Mother Kulangana for many years, and thank you for allowing me into the fold so that I could also experience this wonderful, loving relationship with her. Thank you very much.
Well, it was great to hear those pastimes. Especially, I think we all liked the one about she felt that the cows are getting treated. I actually relate to that. So we would like other devotees to speak, and there are people coming in, more and more guests. So if you can just come forward a bit, there's plenty of space here, so don't be shy about using this space here, just here. And thank you very much. And if you want to speak again, just raise your hand so I can keep a mental note and I'll make sure you're involved. Thank you. Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Anyone else? Any good? It's like open. Alright, so next I have Radha Karuna. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Radha.
If you don't mind, let the anyone else stand up. The title of my presentation is Ode to a Beautiful Mother, because that's how I treated her, that's how I regarded her, and that's how she also regarded me. Darling Mother, ever since that day when you decided to leave your body and head for Krishna Loka, my life has been upside down as never before. So dysfunctional, so pointless, and so bereft of a definition. Sometimes I feel I will not forgive you for promising me that you will not leave before me. But you did. Of course, I cannot blame you for the turn of events, given that Lord Krishna's handiwork is written all over what transpired that fateful day. All I can do now is to wish you Godspeed for eternal life at Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Little more needs to be said in this regard because words cannot convey what I really want to say. Serendipity though it was, my association with you in life's sojourn was indeed a joy, and it is certain to be the solace in my death. And as the poet has put it, splendor in the grass is no more, beloved, but regretful, and try to make do with what little remains. And ages pass, still thou florest, and still there is room to fill. Frequently I am haunted by how cruelly clipper, lowly and insipid individuals at the church, most of whose formal educational credentials are suspect and really masquerade as devotees of the Lord, often made you cry and desperately unhappy. Although I play the piano accordion as a concert instrument, as it should be played, they poison your ears, saying that my playing instrument in a strange way makes Lord Krishna very unhappy. He cries all night and stands on the altar with swollen eyes in the morning. How absurd. Despite their presumed knowledge of some of the Shastras, obviously they do not understand that the three Shaktis, namely Shambhit Shakti, Chandani Shakti and Harini Shakti, corresponding respectively to Shat, Chit, Ananda, are in the gift of my Divine Mother, Srimati Radharani. And that Lord Krishna is abundantly endowed with them. So the onus is on these individuals, devotees, to explain how despite these Shaktis, Lord Krishna could ever be unhappy, especially considering that in the Bhagavad Gita he has mentioned more than once that he is not affected by the stimulus response nuances of the material world to which ordinary mortals are subject. Notwithstanding the above, I am sure you will continue to bless them. Tonight and every night, I'll search the pre-dawn celestial, not to find beautiful Venus divine or bewitching nebula Andromeda or nebula Cassiopeia, certainly not, but to find the celestial abode of my beautiful mother. Rest in his peace. Love you, sweetheart.
Ask them to speak up. Come
Sorry.
Louder.
Thank you.
Bhakti manner, her every days. She used to come and read to us while we were meeting. Lots of pastimes.
Yeah, in terms of service, she was very, as you all know, she was very straightforward about service. She was always saying, this is pure devotional service. So it's not just service. You have to perform pure devotional service. And she would sit with us and she would watch us painting the sweets. I think early on, because I used to like doing so many different services. I think part of the reason she used to sit there is so that I didn't want to raise anything else. She just like supervise. But she'd always be very appreciative of any service we did. And we could always tell when she had made a sweet. All the sweet makers were wonderful, but when Mother Kulangana made the sweet, you knew. Because when you started painting, oh my God, it was like a dream. And even though, my ability, I didn't have so much ability painting, somehow or other, because she had made them, the paintings just came out amazing, and she would, you would just know that it's because it's her desire actually, that she wants the sweets painted.
She used to get orders from Village family to make a cake, big sweet of the cake. And then one of us would be called in and then she would come and say, how much should I charge for this? And then we both look at each other and say, well, they're very well to do, so you can charge whatever you like, more, not less. And she said, we have to be realistic. And then I think she was very, she was not happy to charge anything, but she was not happy to anything. She would always ask us like that.
And she'd be so eager to do this service, like, for me personally, I'll be like, what? They called you up and said, what? Just ordering a cake, like, Mother Kulangana sweet that's like this big. Just like that, we need a cake. And, I'd have to write on it, happy birthday, Vinu Betla. And I'd be like, for me, it'd be like, oh my God, there was some pinching in the heart going on. But she was like, no, we must surrender. You must surrender when there is this service. We must surrender. And we are doing it for Krishna. We're not doing it for Vinodata. We're doing it for Krishna. So this is our understanding, that we're just doing it for Krishna. Because so many hours, I feel for her that, she's making this and she's going through so much endeavor. But she just wanted to please and she just wanted to serve.
We were going on the Father cemetery as soon as after the last day. So we went here for memorial at that time. So I had written something I said, always in our hearts to stay. In loving memory of the grace Mother Kulangana, of glorious Krishna Janmastami. My memories of nearly 12 years of association, sharing of you, early Friday or Saturday mornings between 4:30 and 6 a.m. I would get a call from Her Grace Mother Kulangana. Hare Krishna Vilasini. Radha Karuna is waiting for your service. We had one tray ready for painting. I'm just hearing that I just grab the service. With the mercy of Mother Kulangana, I was fortunate to get the service of painting monasteries for Radha Karuna. She would get everything ready before I came and sat beside me, chanting or talking about her early days at the manor, or Srila Prabhupada, or we would listen to class, always giving instructions of high standards required for daily service. She would select best painted sweets to dignitaries present at that time. One time, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj said to her, all the devotees painting are artists from the heavenly planets. And she was always encouraging all of us with a lot of love and affection. And then I wrote a little poem. Sadly missed along life's way, quietly remembered every day. Always in our hearts will stay in the face. Let's go.
In terms of sort of my relationship with Mother Kulangana, it started when I was around 15 years old, because I'd started coming to the temple and I just noticed her, and I thought, I like this lady. When I understood that she was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, I decided to paint her this bead bag. So I painted her the bead bag, I gave it to her, and she was very grateful. And she throughout the years, she'd come up to me and she'd say, I still have your bead bag, I chant on it all the time. And that was sort of our exchange. And then many years later, I joined the temple. And the next major encounter that I had with her was one day that, I'd done the 3-month Bhakti course, and then I decided to stay longer, which my parents were absolutely horrified about. So I went home to visit them, and they said, how did you get in the house? You leave your key here, and you get out. Anyway, so I was very, very upset, and then I came at the back of the ashram, and I just moved over from the guest house at that time, and I came inside, and I just managed to compose myself, and she was just crouching down next to the heat, and she goes, what's has happened? And then I burst out in tears, and I told her what happened, and she said it's okay, and she comforted me. And then I went upstairs to my room, and that was about it. And then the next morning, I was one of these people that I got up every day for Mangal Arati, but I'd just push it a little bit and just, get up about 15:15, and then I'd just make a mad dash for it. So, so I was doing my usual, snoozing my alarm, and then all of a sudden, my door burst open. She said, get up! And Mother Kulangana burst in, she said, get up! Get up! What you are doing? Get up! And I was like, oh my God! Because my relationship with her was always very nice. Here's your bead bag, I'm still using, kind of thing. So I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then so literally, I just remember my blanket flying off. I grabbed my sushi kit and I flew down the stairs. I was so scared. I was like, what is going on? And then she explained to me afterwards that I was waiting and waiting. I thought, what is this girl doing? So then I thought, come upstairs. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was at that moment that I realised that this lady has taken me under her wing. And there's no escape, And she has decided, and from that moment she would monitor me. Make sure, whether it was me eating prasadam or rounds or anything, she would really, keep a hawk's eye on me. And I was so grateful for that, I think because when she saw that I'd been rejected by my family, she thought, I've got to take her on, so there was that. And I was the recipient of many a chastisement, which, as Prajan Prabhu said, they were just the best times actually, There was so much encouragement, but the chastisements were absolutely the best. At the time I was the head of the ashram, and often would walk into Guru Prabhu's office, and he might, heap on a load of praise, in front of all the girls, and then would walk out, and I'd be like, up in the clouds. And she'd be, very soon, I'd go to her room, or as we're walking back to the ashram, she said, yes, Sucirani is wonderful. I know you love it to hear this. And I'm like, she'd like yank me down to earth. She goes, yes, I know you love it to hear this, Sucirani. And she'd even do a push line, Sucirani. Yes, I know you love it to hear this. This is not the point, And she'd tell me how to, serve, actually how instead of running around like trying to be Wonder Woman and being seen and being recognised, you make sure that you keep your sadhana. She was very strict with me on that. And she'd say, have you chanted 16 rounds? When you chanted 16 rounds, you have your ticket in your pocket. See, you have your ticket in your pocket. She would say that to me. Another thing she would say to me, which I really treasure, and she must have said it to a lot of other people, she said voluntary austerity. She said you get up in the morning, you take on voluntary austerity, otherwise Krishna will give it to you. like this, and Krishna will give it to you. I have a couple of things that when Sri Devi Sundari, who was my sweet painting, when she was my sweet painting partner in crime, and she had gone away to America for a few years, so she would ask me, can you tell me what Mother Kulangana has been up to? So I'm so glad she asked me to do this, because I have 2 written memories and that I'd completely forgotten about otherwise, but they're crystal clear because they're written down at the time, so I'd like to read them out. Okay, so the first one is, oh God, okay, so this is a bit of a tough lesson for me. It says, I was in the ashram. Oh no, this is a nice one. Okay, so I was in the ashram and in comes Mother Kulangana. She said, someone came up to me and said, you look so chaste, Mataji. You always have your head covered. Then she said to me, but Prabhu, I was thinking that my hair was so horrible, like a witch. And she uncovered her hair to show me. That's why I keep it covered, because it looks terrible. If I had long black hair, then I would have it out all the time. She said, so here is he thinking that I am so chaste that I have my hair covered, and I am thinking that I want to look better, so I cover my hair, my horrible hair. See, that is what's really important, motivation. The second one was quite a heavy lesson. I was cooking breakfast today, and Mother Kulangana was also in the kitchen cooking sweets. It was not her day today, but she was feeling disheartened because the other sweet makers were not being very creative, so she thought that she would come in and do it herself. She turned to me from across the table and said, shall I tell you what Shruti Dam said to me? I said yes. She told me to pause the Prabhupada CD that was playing, so I glanced up and pressed one of the buttons. But it didn't pause. The CD was starting again, so I pressed it again, and the same thing happened. Then I explained to Mother Kulangana, I don't know what's happening, I'm pressing pause. Then she said to me very sternly, coming round to my side of the table, but what is the result? What is the result? You said that you are doing something, but what is the result? Yes, you may be cooking a wonderful offering, but if the devotees don't like it, what is the result? You are pressing this button, but something else is happening. Then I realised that I'd been pressing the wrong button, and that's what she was getting at. I was defiantly saying that I was doing something, but if the result was something different, then I must not have been doing it right, because the result showed that I was doing it wrong. She knew that this was a symptom of my huge false ego coming out, and she wanted to correct it. It didn't quite click to me what she was getting at immediately, so I just acknowledged and then I carried on with my service, but I know in my heart that I was feeling confused and annoyed at being chastised. She then came close to me, like this close, and she looked right at me and said, yes, so Shruti Dam, he says, what is on the outside, it may be beautiful, so nice, but what matters is what is on the inside, the consciousness. If inside you are horrible, then what matters about the outside? Just like when these people come to the temple, they come from Harrow and all these places, and on the outside, what service do they do? On the inside, they are so humble. I have seen on this Bhakti Shastri course, they are so humble. But someone may be staying here and be so full of pride, lust, anger and greed. But you just don't know. You can't judge. Just like you. When I corrected you just then, you growl at me like this. You growl at me like this. And she did an impression of someone growling at her with a face and with a growling face and her fingers curled up. She says, "This is what it is. You are not humble. When someone corrects you, anger. See? Outwardly, I didn't give any particular signs that I was angry, but she read my consciousness. Her words pierced me so deeply that I felt my eyes welling up. She had hit the nail right on the head. My immediate thought was I never want to come to the temple again. It's too purifying. But then I thought that this is actually what Radharani's mercy feels like. It burns the ego like fire and hurts like anything. Then she continued to say, yes, there will always be this pinching in the heart, and this pinching will go on till the end of the life. You are young, but I know I have been through this pinching in the heart. When someone tells me like this and anger comes, now I know what to do, but you don't recognize it. Like me, I did not know at first, but now I know exactly what it is. When I feel like I'm getting angry, I know what to do. You will learn as long as you're in the association of devotees. Otherwise, how will you know? After the offering, I came to her with tears in my eyes to apologize. I couldn't help it. She called me over and asked me to clean the equipment that she was using. I felt that although I am so rotten, she still was accepting me by allowing me to serve her. I write this with a heavy heart because it's hard to reveal our faults, but this one hit me like a thunderbolt. It was a real thunderbolt. Another nice one that of her instructing me is when we'd just been swimming, and I was driving her, and because obviously we'd been swimming, my hair was wet, so I left it out. And then I just started driving, and she was like, "You know the story of Banasura?" And I was like, "Oh no." And then she told me, and she was telling me in such great detail about this story of Banasura, just very randomly, unless you know the story of Banasura. So it just seemed very random. Oh, okay, that's nice, telling me a pastime. And so she's telling me a pastime, and she's telling me in such great detail, almost word for word. And then she comes to the part, she said, yes. And then Banasura's mother, she comes out naked, hair opened, just like you. Okay, I get the message now. I know what this story was about. So, she was very kind to me. And one last one is when we went to Hungary, and we were going to paint sweets over there. So both of us had come all to clean, and then we went towards the Kajari department, and we went to near the Archerman, and I saw that everything was in Hungarian, and I said, Mother Kulangana, I took her aside, and I said, Mother Kulangana, I don't know the full Archerman prayers, and this is all in Hungarian. She said, come. She looked at me, because I think she thought I was trying to avoid doing so. She looked right at me and she goes, neither do I. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, so she was like, just say this mantra. Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarva Vasta Devoti Va. And so I repeated after her, and she said, okay, now come. So we went near the Archerman pot, and like looking around, hoping that no one's paying us too much attention. And then we start randomly flicking around water. And then we went inside, so we did say the purification prayer, but we didn't know the official, and I think the point was to serve anyway, so. I'm very grateful that Mother Kulangana was in my life. She's really, I think she's the reason why I'm in Krishna consciousness, actually. Otherwise, I would have done a long time ago. I don't have the qualification to be around devotees. But she created that qualification, And her, early morning calls. She used to call, when I moved out the money, she'd call me at like 4:30 finally went to Sucirani, sorry, did I wake you? You know, but she'd really call just to make sure that I was awake, you know, chanting and stuff like that. Leave really funny voice messages and stuff like that. And I miss her so much. But I feel that she's still here. Very much I feel her presence. Looking after us all.
Hare Krishna, everyone. My association with Mother Kulangana has been very limited. Often, whenever I've been given the opportunity to serve flowers to Srila Prabhupada, one day she stopped me while I was offering it and she said, make sure you offer only yellow flowers to Srila Prabhupada. So she held my hand and she stopped me because I was offering a red flower. But make sure you offer only yellow flowers. And every time I would go and offer a flower to Srila Prabhupada, she would watch me. Is he offering yellow or is he offering a different color? So I made sure as long as when she was there, I offered yellow. And the next yellow flower I would give to her. And there would be a very simple smile towards me, and that was my limited association with her, apart from the basic respect that I would give to her as a devotee. And she would give it back in return. I personally would like to apologize that I have not written a eulogy, I've written a poetry for her as an offering. Because eulogies are written for somebody who was departed. She remains with us in the spiritual sense. And my second apology is because I've written it in Hindi, and I know most of us will not understand it here, but I also brought something in with English, just to compensate what I had written in Hindi. I mentioned it to Shruti Kaka that I've written in Hindi, and he goes, well, if you've written it in Hindi, then you've written it in Hindi. So there's nothing much you can do about it. So I will just recite two poetries. The first one is an offering to Mother Kulangana in Hindi. Second one is an offering of a prayer to Krishna from all of us on behalf of her. So I'll just recite the Hindi one first. I'm sorry if I know some of you will not understand it, so I sincerely apologize for that to begin with. मैं मृत्यु हूँ तो क्या हुआ, आज़ाद हूँ, मैं रूह की हर खुशी से आबाद हूँ, मैं हरि के चरणों की दास थी और अब मैं अपने राधे कृष्ण के पास हूँ। मेरी जिंदगी एक लंबी गाथा है जिसमें राधे कृष्ण का नाम पहले आता है। मेरा जीवन भक्तों का आशीर्वाद है, मेरी सेवा मंगल आरती का प्रसाद है। उसे भोगना ना भूलना, उसमें छुपा हरि का मीठा रस है। माँ, तेरी सेवा को हम सभी भक्तों का प्रणाम है। आपका किया हर कर्म उच्च कोटि का प्रमाण है। आपकी जीवन लीला का यही संदेश है कि हरिनाम 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 ही श्रेष्ठ है। हरिनाम 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 ही श्रेष्ठ है। Only those who can understand Hindi, I'm sorry.
No, we could understand that.
Okay, the second one is basically is an offering to Krishna on behalf of all of us, including her. Love for Krishna, a beautiful divine torture, pierces the flesh, steals the heart, possesses the soul. This irresistible enchantment, our deprived soul. Drowning in this ecstatic love, this depth unknown. Your sweet slaughter through your divine eyes mesmerize our tears flow uncontrolled. Senses like dead carcass, churning lust to lotus rose. This division of two completes as fate unfolds. Krishna, I wonder if you cry for one. I wonder if we enchant your soul. Does this separation of our divine love makes you love us more and more? When you seek our eyes, do you seek your soul? I pray that we unite with your divine soul. Oh, I forgot you are God. How can one separate you from your divine whole? The
But tell me this secret, how does one marry their own soul? This twisted story of fate, the unspoken words to the deserted love, our separated whole. Krishna, does the agony of our heart touches your soul? Krishna, does the agony of our heart touches your soul? Please have mercy on all us minuscule souls. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Mother Kulangana was and is my very dear friend, god sister, and I was very fortunate to have quite a lot of association with her, which I count as a great blessing in my life. I first got to know her in the 1970s when we were together in Bury Place. We were doing Sankirtan together, going out every day. The ladies' party, girls' party. We were just girls then, although Mother Kulangana was always the most senior, because when she came to join the ashram, she was older than most of us. So she was always a wise senior for us. And very renounced. She always had a grateful heart. She was always very grateful and very humble. I think these things strike me about Mother Kulangana, that were always there with her. From beginning to the end, they never changed. She, as a child, she went through some very traumatic experiences in Poland during the war with her family, being separated from her mother and being like almost starving at one time, living in fear and terror. So when she came to live in England, she was grateful, and when she joined the temple, then she was very grateful to have a home, because she was separated from her family. She was alone. Marriage was something that never really worked out for her, and she wasn't really interested in marriage. And when she came to Krishna, that Krishna consciousness just became her life, her heart, her soul, her everything. From that point on till the end of her life. Open the please. She was completely dedicated. And she had a very spiritual nature, and Mama, very renounced. For a woman, she was very renounced. And she used all that in Krishna's service, by which she became a great example for so many devotees. She's very famous for her milk sweets, but a lot of devotees don't know that she was actually a great Sankirtan devotee. And she was going out on Sankirtan, on book distribution, for many years. And she did that for at least about 15 years before she went out. Until it got to the stage where her body just couldn't do that anymore. Then she stopped. But she always had that preaching mood, and when she stopped preaching outside, then she was always preaching to devotees. She always had that mood of sharing Krishna consciousness and of helping others. She always had that very merciful heart of a preacher, and that's why she became the guru, like the guru for so many devotees. Like Sucirani was just giving this beautiful talk about how much he helped her in Krishna consciousness, and there's so many other testimonies like that. Like Radha Karuna was not just a disciple but a son to her, this one. So she was a mother and also a shikshaka for so many devotees. And there's this controversy going on in ISKCON, ongoing controversy about women becoming gurus. Mother Kulangana never gets involved in these controversies, but she just was. I mean, whether it's Diksha or Shiksha is really just a detail, but she was, the guru for so many devotees. And she was transcendent. She was transcendental to this male and female kind of battle that sometimes goes on. She couldn't be bothered with all that. But she was just so engaged in Krishna's service, so fully engaged. And those milk sweets were like a manifestation of her devotion. But she had so much devotion. That's why those milk sweets became the most famous milk sweets in ISKCON in the world, in that beautiful painting. But just the sweets herself, because she had so much devotion that she was like a perfectionist. So the burfi had to be cooked and cooked and cooked until it was just right. And the sandesh had to be kneaded and kneaded and kneaded until it was just soft and perfect. And so those sweets were just manifesting the devotion of her heart and her love for Krishna. So I was very fortunate that I got to go swimming with her many times. We would go together for swimming, and then also to India. South India, we went together several times for Ayurvedic treatment. But when I told Mother Kulangana about the Ayurvedic treatment that I'd been for in Kerala, then she was very interested to go because she was working so hard, serving so hard, and so much pain in the body, not really getting any much help for that, and she really needed, by that point, some help, some treatment. So we went there together, and she benefited a lot from the treatment, and it was a very good break for her from all the pressure of temple life, to just be able to go somewhere and just have the massage treatment and just chant and be peaceful, have a little break all together. So after that, she wanted to go every year, and then I would say, and she wanted me to go with her. Like for the first few years, it was like that. She wanted me to go with her. So I would say, well, maybe someone else could go with you. Then she'd say, no, I want you to come with me. And so every year we would go together for the Ayurvedic treatment. And I enjoyed very much her association. It was a really nice break for me as well. And we had a good time together. And it was really good in her association that, because she always, even when she was having a break, she never had a break from her schedule. she would always be up by around 1 o'clock in the morning. Between 1 and 2, she would be up chanting. And I mean, I wouldn't get up at that time. She said, don't worry, you don't have to get up at this time. You can get up a little late at 3:30 is okay. But by 3:30 I would have to make sure I was up. So it was really nice, and we would do Mangalati together. I would bring my deities along, we would do a little Mangalati together. Then we would go to the temple. There was a Vishnu temple across the road. We would go there for Bhajan. And she was always preaching to the people in the hospital, the doctors, and giving them books, giving them beads. And it was a great adventure together. So I will be missing very much her association. And I don't think there's anyone who can really fill that gap, because Mother Kulangana was really one of a kind, and she'll never be forgotten by the whole community of Anana. And she'll always be there, watching over all of us, as a great mother of the Mana community. So now we have to just keep her enshrined in our hearts and keep that inspiration, whatever inspiration we got from her, to keep that there and to remember her and to keep her presence with us so that we can carry on making advance into Krishna consciousness, and one day we can be together with her again. Hare Krishna.
My name is Ian, by the way. I first came to Bhakti Vedanta Mana in 1999 on the Bhakti program, a 3-month Bhakti program. I ended up staying for 3 years. And I remember when I first came, everything was a bit odd. When we first moved into the temple, you see strange people doing strange things, and everything's a little bit weird. But I remember seeing Mother Kulangana. She was either chanting or she was asleep. There was nothing else. She'd be walking around chanting, she'd be sitting down chanting, or she'd be sleeping. I remember asking, who's this lady? Because she stands out a mile from everybody else. And I said, oh yeah, she makes the sweets. Now I thought they meant the sweets that we used to get behind reception, where they're glazed. And I thought, yeah, she makes the sweets. Yeah, they're sweets. You know, I know sweets. I've been eating sweets for years. That's why I've got no teeth. I know my sweets. And then somebody else said, no, not those sweets. Mangalati sweets, the special sweets in the morning. And somehow or other, I managed to get some Mangalati sweet, and I was transformed. Now that is a sweet. That was incredible. I mean, it just melted in my mouth. It was absolutely perfect. I mean, the look of it, the taste of it, everything. And I thought, there is real devotion in that sweet. It's just such a simple thing, but there's so much depth to it. And that was my first interaction. I hadn't even spoken to her or anything, but then I understood, yes, this devotee is a very special personality. When the Bhakti program kind of came to an end, somehow or other through Krishna's arrangement, I ended up working down on the old Goshala, which we were talking about earlier. Because the choices were I move up into the ashram, carry on with the course, but I'm not great for studying myself. I'm a very practical person, and I'm trained in agriculture. I thought this is an opportunity for me to go and give something to the temple. So, and round about that time as well, one of the young oxen ended up, he got crushed by one of the hay feeders. And there was no one there at the time. If someone had been there, we could have made the rescue. So Shamson said we really need someone down in the Goshala all the time. So I thought, perfect opportunity for all these things to come together. So I moved into the office and ended up living down in the old Goshala with the cows and the oxen for the next few years. And when I started, because Dr. Matthew was there at the time doing most of the milking, but I was still doing some relief milking. And when I'm milking in the morning, Mother Kulangana would come down. And in the old Goshala, there was a central milk point, an access point to get the hay and store down the milk. And she used to just come down, and she'd just walk up and down all the time I was there, chanting. And I managed to speak to her one day, and she said, "Oh, Prabhu," she called me Prabhu. She said it was such a nice atmosphere down there with the cows. That's where she liked to chant down there. So she'd come down, like you say, down that old track to the old Goshala. She'd walk down there and come and chant with the cows in the morning with the milk. But I didn't make her take that German up, honestly. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. But the one time she really hit me profoundly, actually, was I was milking away. She was walking up and down in the mill. And if anyone can remember what the old Goshala was like, where we were milking was slightly raised up, and there was a wall to the central walkway and then a couple of metal bars above it. So I'm milking away, and then I hear her. She goes, "Oh, Prabhu," and she's just there, literally just there like she is here now. So I'm looking across there. She had a grin on her like a Cheshire cat. And she was just beaming. And she said, "Prabhu, you are so fortunate, because Krishna has let you come here and look after his house." And you know, when she's saying something that really means something, because she said it twice. She said, "Krishna has allowed you to come here and look after his cows." And then she just walked away. And I was just like, whoa, what just happened here? It went in here and it went to here. Just like that. And I thought, I'd never even thought of it like that before. Krishna has allowed me to come here. These are Krishna's cows in Krishna's temple. Krishna controls everything. And he's allowed me to come here and look after his cows. It was such... Yeah, it blew me away. Completely blew me away. Just a simple thing like that. And then she does that and just walks off. It's like, hang on a minute, I'm trying to milk cows here, and you just completely blow my mind. It was amazing. Amazing. She was so simple in what she said, and she was very innocent. She had such childlike qualities, you know. Her love was very childlike, her innocence very childlike, her excitement as well. When she's talking about Krishna and she's talking about Papa, she got so excited. I mean, many times, once we got talking, then we got talking everywhere, and also with my wife and my kids, and we got very close. And she, like I said, she's always so excited about it. She'd come up and say, Prabhupada said, all we have to do is chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulative principles, and he will drag us back to Godhead. He will drag us. That's all we have to do. And it was never like, oh, you have to do this. It's like, that's all we have to do, is chant 16 rounds and follow the 4 regulatory principles of Prabhupada. He said he would drag us back to Godhead. Simple as that. And it's just absolutely amazing. And that's what she did. You know, she did that, did her service. Another time when myself and my wife, we announced our engagement, and we were in the temple room, and she came over, we were standing there, and she came over to us, she said, "Don't go anywhere, I'm going to be back." She went wandering off. She went upstairs to her father's room. She came back with Bhagavatam, and she was flicking through. She said, "Read this. Krishna is the only husband." Just remember your place. wasn't expecting to talk, otherwise I'd written stuff down. But we were away when she left. We went, we were around the cottage. We saw her before we went away. And it broke my heart. But once she realised I liked sweets, that was it. She was just shipping them to me every which way she could. My wife would come back from them because when we got married, I moved out. I've been working outside for quite a few years, and my wife would come back from the temple. Oh, Mother Kulangana boys, and there'd be a massive box full of goatful sweets and things. She'd keep me supplied with sweets. And this went on for a while, and I thought, you know, she's giving all this to me, and I'm giving nothing back. So I really thought I need to do something, and I was asking Krishna for some inspiration of what I could give her back, because I don't know, I just couldn't think of anything. So I said, Krishna, you need to give her this. So it kind of gave me some inspiration to do a picture, because I like doing pictures on the laptop and stuff, and putting things together. So I made up a picture, and it was a few various pictures of Prabhupada, and I thought, you know, she might like that. And I delivered it to her there at the temple, and yeah, she was very happy. She was over the moon. And then a few days later, the next thing I hear is she's put this picture up on the wall above, where she sleeps right above her head. And she says, every morning she wakes up and sees that picture. So I'm glad I managed to do some service with her, because it seemed she was just giving to me all the time. And she never chastised me, never ever. She made me feel guilty a few times. Saying, "No, Prabhu, you're doing such great service looking after your family." I said, "Oh, no, I'm just working." No, you're doing so much. No, I'm not. So, yeah, but she was just, it was always, how we're getting on, how we're doing with our spiritual life, how my children doing. It's never about her. She tricked you. Yeah, definitely. She's an expert. But yeah, the last instruction I got from her was she said she'd like to see me initiated before she left the body. How can you initiate me if you've got me? Mother Kulangana ki jai.
I'll be very brief because I want to give a chance to many of you to express some love for Mother Kulangana. There's a lot of recipients of Mother Kulangana's love here. I would like to hear you as well. He's actually the chosen prodigal son. But he's very shy. You could see that he's not even giving himself as the MC, but he's actually the muscle behind this program. Radha Karuna. There's also, now my mind went blank. Your name, just no. Gopal. Murari Gopal. Yes, and there's quite a few devotees that've been like a touchstone, you know, that touched by Mother Kulangana. I don't want to talk too much about myself, my relationship with her, because we tend, you know, to hear our encounter, our episode that we had with her. But I would like to say a few things in general. She This is one of my favorite verses of the Bhagavad Gita, that when someone, Krishna says to Arjuna, someone who controls his mind, the master of the senses, who is acting always with a devotion, is very dear to everyone, and everyone is very dear to him. That's the verse, Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya. That verse is all about Mother Kulangana. Because she was actually a sannyasi, a Goswami. In my opinion, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. She was free from lust, anger, greed, envy. She was always in the mood of giving, never of taking. Taking is like, when you feed the mind, when we want, when we take, the mind feels like Pusparina Nalinachara, it's the satisfaction for the mind and body. But the Mother Kulangana, you could see she didn't have any huge bank account. She didn't have any inheritance. Materially, she was akinchana, without any material possession. But wealthy people, they were attracted to her. And they would give her, anything she needed. Like, a good example of Radha Karuna. Actually, he provided everything for her. And many, many other devotees. So, the nature of the soul is to give. Mother Kulangana was always giving, like, Prabhuji said. She was merciful to families, to individuals. One time I was in distress, I never told this to anybody. 1996, Prabhupada's centennial year. And like my wife said, she would go out on books. I was a Sankirtan leader at the manor, and every day she would go out on books. I don't know if you remember Marshana. Because the body could take it. She was still in good shape. She had a spotless sadhana. Very energetic. And she was not one of the greatest book distributors, but she was very persistent, insistent, and consistent in book distribution every day. As well, she was doing her service in the morning early, making sweets in the morning. She would get up very early, chant all the 16 rounds, making sweets, and then go out on book distribution. Always giving Krishna, Prabhupada. And once 1996, I was a Sankirtan leader for 4 or 5 years. Shivaram Swami and Akandari, they asked me to take over just for 1 year. I said, I'll do it for 1 year, but then I will pass it on to somebody else. Somehow or other, things they went well, so they kept me on that service. And I was stressed because I was looking after my mother with cancer, sending her some money, looking after the temple. All my collection was going to the temple. I had 1 or 2 days a week on paintings. Krishna would help, would give what I needed. And I was sending money for the China project to my Guru Maharaj. So I felt very proud that, I'm useful, to look after all these. But then I had a nervous breakdown. I had to resign from my service. My Guru Maharaj said, just resign from everything, take care of your health. And I remember at that time, Giriraj Swami was in our house, and he knew about the problem. And Kulangana, Mother Kulangana, she felt actually what I was feeling. I remember one day, I was at the temple, and I was not opening to anybody. But she put a hand on my chest and she said, you did good service for Krishna, for Prabhupada. Prabhupada loves you. Your Guru Maharaj loves you. Krishna loves you. I love you, she said. So it was nice that, don't feel bad, that you are, because, I was not doing anything, I was just taking care of my health. She said, this is also service, taking care of your health, because the body that you have is given to you by Krishna. So you have to serve it, take care of it. Don't think it's Maya. We usually preach the body, it's Maya. But she was preaching to me that actually body, to serve the body in a good way, to keep in good health. It's spiritual. And she was right. I put in my health as a priority. And I do remember, she said, it's all temporary, it will pass. Just like water under the bridge. You will remember, upon this sickness, just like a little pool of water, you can cross it very easily. So I remember those words even up to now, and every time I get sick, I go through some struggle or suffering. Mother Kulangana's words, they come to me, don't worry, it will pass. Matra sparstu kaunteya, Krishna says, Sitoshna shuka dugada. Happiness, distress is all temporary. So when we went, my wife said, she encountered when we went to South India, and there was, I was also not feeling well at that time. And she said, she was asking me, how does it feel to be married? You remember she was asking those questions. How does it feel to be married, to have children? Nobody would marry me, she said. Isn't that right? She would, I wonder why, I said, and I said, because Krishna wanted to keep yourself all for himself. So, you are chosen by Krishna. You are like a Virgin Mary. You don't need to. She said, I'm enjoying the Grihastha life through you two. You remember? She said, and she would. Then she said, but I have lots of children, and I have a wonderful son, Radha Karuna Prabhu. Look how much he looks after me. He pays for me to go to India. He looks after, I don't need anything, I've got really, really loving son. And I've got you, who is a brother and a son, because brother, you are taking care of my god sister, and son, because you are the son of my god brother, Krishna Maharaj. So she said, I have respect and love for you both. So it was very interesting, the way she would look at things. She was always a well-wisher of everybody. Of course, there were a few people she would keep them in her confidence, and one is Radha Karuna Prabhu. I think, I believe, I don't think I can disclose testimony that he was the closest one to Mother Kulangana, and I think we should all say, Haribol! Taking good care of her, and you can see that love never dies, even though Mother Kulangana, it was not a body service. Because when someone passed away, then Punya Musida Bhava, we go to our normal activities, we forget about the person, and then it's just history, memory, or pastime. But no, he brought up, the Mother Kulangana alive. I feel that she's present with us and smiling on him. And he has no doubt that he has a genuine, deep love for Mother Kulangana. And even though he sees me as a senior than him, but my desire, my wish is to always assist him, serve him, and always be grateful for what he's done for Mother Kulangana, and for what you have done for Mother Kulangana, many of you. Sucirani she was like a pet girl of Mother Kulangana. I remember when I was a Sankirtan leader, she used to go out on books and helping Mother Kulangana making sweets in the morning. There's a few people, they've been very, very close to her. And so I feel fortunate that I came in contact with this great lady. She used to love my classes because I would talk about Jesus. She said, very rarely I hear about Jesus, but because she had a deep love for Jesus Christ. She would ask me a lot of questions because I was brought up in a Catholic monastery. She would ask me always questions, and even at the time when she was sick, she would pass message to the devotees. Thank you for the class. And I find, that she was a perfect example of a Vaishnava, like Haridas Thakur, Prachar, and Achara. She wouldn't just talk nicely, but she also practiced nicely what she preached. Sometimes you find someone who can do a lot of service, but they don't know how to preach. Or sometimes you could find someone who could preach very nicely, but they don't do any service. But Mother Kulangana, I can say that she's #1 champion on this behavior. For me, she wears a #1 t-shirt in this perfect example. Even if she's exceeded even the behavior of many, many sannyasis in ISKCON. I don't see the body, the female aspect, but I see that great sage inside that body that has touched the soul. Even Tamal Krishna Maharaj told her, I was witness in the kitchen. There was few, I think maybe you were, no, Varsha maybe was there. By you making sweets, I believe, I have no doubt that you are already walking in the spiritual world, something like that. You remember, he made such a comment. And everybody was quoting that comment for days and weeks. Said, you are already walking in the spiritual world. You are already, in other words, a liberated soul. Jiva Mukta Sauchate. So, great souls, as I said it before on my previous talk, sometimes we look for heroes. And we try to find them in the Mahabharata or Srimad Bhagavatam or history books, Alexander the Great or Caesar or Arjuna or the Pandavas. But Prabhupada said, heroes, they also walk amongst us. They're not just to be found in books. And Mother Kulangana was such a hero. Some of us, we wonder, what is so special about it? Maybe new devotees, they could think like that. Or maybe they just see the body of an old lady and think, oh, what is so special? But actually, the whole life of Mother Kulangana was a selfless sacrifice to Krishna, voluntary, like somebody who mentioned about voluntary sacrifice. I heard that saying many, many times. If you're Vaishnava, you can tell a Vaishnava when you embrace voluntary sacrifice. So, Mother Kulangana, she started very well, and she finished very well. And hopefully we can learn something from this great soul. And in the meantime, I wish her happiness eternally, wherever she is, preaching, or the spiritual world, or whatever. Krishna has plans for all of us. But she's indeed a touchstone. Jai Mother Kulangana ki.
This place was only possible because of Mother Kulangana, because of her energy, her force, her Shakti, and collaborating with Radha Karuna. This place was set up. So I'm just going to introduce you very briefly with a show of hands to all the boys that have ever lived here at the Bhakti Center. Please raise your hands if you've ever lived here. We've got Ratish Prabhu there on the left, got Balaram Prabhu, got Daniel Prabhu, sorry, you just moved to Suraj Prabhu, got Achyuta Prabhu, what's your name, Prabhu? Daniel Prabhu, and Peter Prabhu, of course. He was the one that helped me put up this picture yesterday. So we do a lot of service here. We're very grateful for Mother Kulangana for really standing up against the council to make sure this place existed for us. If you've seen the pictures, one of them was showing the picture of the plaque, which is just outside the door there. And if you read that, that's the reason why this place exists. And the deities are Mother Kulangana's deities. So please feel free to always, if you like to, when we've got a program, just come and see the deities and have a little association with them. So it's like having an association with Mother Kulangana.
I really want to thank Radha Karuna, for without whom we wouldn't know Mother Kulangana and we wouldn't have had opportunities to serve her. So thank you so much for thank you for having us here. First time I heard about Mother Kulangana was when I was living in Mayapur. Other devotees would say we would always as Gurukul boys, we would always steal the manga sweets from the temple. And Janani Vasaprabhu would tell us that these manga sweets are nice, but you need to taste Mother Kulangana's at Bhakti Manor. So that was the first time I ever heard Mother Kulangana, and then I was able to come here. Many occasions, Radha Karuna would randomly call me and say, Mother Kulangana needs some cabbage from Tesco, can you go buy some? So little service exchanges like that. Whenever I saw Mother Kulangana, she would always ask how my mother is doing and how my japa was doing. And she would ask, are you chanting 16 rounds? Did you chant your 16 rounds today? So that was the two things that she always asked me. And I'll finish with one thing that really amazed me was whenever we did a night shift at the temple for kirtan, usually on Nityananda Chayadashi, everyone would leave around 10, 11 o'clock. It would just be maybe 2 or 3 of us. And just when we were about to drowse off around 1 o'clock in the morning, Mother Kulangana would walk in and she would sit down with us and do kirtan for 3 hours till Mangalati. So that it was amazing to see that at her age she was able to do, because we were all in our 20s, and just very inspiring. So we would all wake up and continue doing kirtan like that. So thank you so much, Mother Kulangana.
Thank you, Radha Karuna, for inviting me for this program. For Mother Kulangana, thank you very much. My memories, I'm there. I have not much communication with human devotees. So I met her and I couldn't communicate properly. It was really a shame. But when I met her, always she smiled to me. Always smiled, and that was lovely. I feel very encouraged and positive. That really encouraged me. So I feel very, very inspired to her. I didn't know that she was a very famous person. I saw her doing wonderful activities. And I feel very inspired. And she always doing helping devotees, teaching them and doing activities. So I feel touched in my heart by her interaction, her service, because she was a very lovely person. I met her one day with my brothers. She loved my brother. She always been together talking. You know Radha Karuna, that they've been always together. And I saw. And my brother gave me a sweet. This is from Radha and Mother Kulangana. And I was over the moon. Wow, this is amazing. and that was a carrot sweet. This is my favorite sweet, the carrot one. So I can explain you how I love that one. And I asked him, how do you do this? How do you cook that one? He said, okay, let's book one day and I'll show you how to do. So I went with the interpreter to the shop, and we were just three of us. And we recorded, and she was showing us, teaching us how to do the carrot sweet. And then I realized, wow, this is very in detail. And he explained how she been failing to do this sweet for many, many years, and she was praying to Krishna, please show me the way how to do this sweet. And I saw how much love she put doing the sweets when she was cooking. Later on we tasted the sweet, and it was wonderful, and I really, really appreciate her teachings to me how to make the sweet. She always, when I go to the temple to do service, always give me sweet for my brother. When my brother was not at the temple, she said, okay, please give this to your brother. And she was doing that all the time. So at the end, the last thing I want to say is, I was with my mother. She was quite old. She was 80 years old. And Mother Kulangana greeted her, Hare Krishna, how are you, Mataji? And I was so stressed because, taking care of the parents at that age was really difficult. But she gave me encouragement to just greeting her in that way. So she helped me. And then I always saw her, Mother Kulangana, with my mother, encouraged her, and when she was taking lesson. So I really miss her. It's in my heart. And I will always remember her. Thank you very much.
No, I think my first contact with Mother Kulangana was in the Deity kitchen. When I came in England, after a few months, Gadada knows I was pujaing before in Paris, and he wanted me to cook for the deity. And in the deity kitchen one day, when Mother Kulangana was making sweet, I was always watching her. I wanted to learn how to make something big. Maybe one day she said to me, I will teach you how to make, because it was me. I learned how to make sandwich in the beginning. And she always teaching me how to, step by step, how to process the cheese, to the machine, how to cook in very low flame, when the cheese is ready, and how to make, everything she should. And after that, I did perfume, because also she was there. When I was making always this, the perfume pera in the kitchen, she was always coming midnight, and I was boiling the milk, and I put always a chair with the table, and she was sitting, and I was putting all my classes, because she was always wanted to hear Shirapota and chant on the same time. So she sit down, and I was making sweet. And sometimes she was talking, she was saying me, always asking me, I chant my round, and always asking me also about Haiz Lavonga, Haiz the shepherd, And I remember when she was saying to me like that, she was making perfume pera, and she was feeling asleep. It happened to me many times. And I was always remember her with this, beautiful smile. When I see her, and also sometimes when I come to the manor and she see me, she say, "Oh, Parandam, which day you coming?" And sometimes she will come, and I was not here, and she was disappointed because she didn't see the light in the kitchen, because she wanted to come and chant around, that time. on many means also, she said to me many things, you know. On one, she said to me like this, you love Krishna, she said to me, you know, with a beautiful smile. On one also, she come in front of me like this, you know. I was making sweet. And she said to me, I love you, she said to me. Like this, she said to me. Beautiful smile. That I will always remember. For me, it would be, I will say, I will always remember her and miss her when I was making sweet. And also, she said to me also, you have to make the sweet until you die. She said, you know. But no, I'm convinced that, you know, to make more artists that will be my priority. Whatever happened to me, you know, I think my body had to do it. And for me, she was a, you know, a guru for the sweet, but she was also a sweet guru. And sometimes also she shatters me also, you know, a few times also, shouting at me. You know, when she shot at me, you know, you feel, you know, like you said, shaking, you know.
Can I tell you what she said to me about you? She used to come to midnight to see you and help you and guide you, but she didn't say anything like that. But what she said to me once was about her chanting. She said, when I go in the kitchen with Param Dham and chanting, I'm associating with the devotee when I'm chanting. And Prabhupada says we must associate with devotees when we chant. So she saw you as a devotee, she was chanting with you. She needed you. That's what she was saying in her humility.
The other when when she was coming, you know, I was always putting my speaker tablet, and I was always putting all my classes because what she wanted. You know, and sometimes she was feeling asleep. Sometimes she said to me, okay, I'm going to get my flask, you know, with a hot drink before she has to drink. You know, a lot. But I know she was always asking me, you know, I Labanga, I Zatula, I Zaridas, always asking me all the time. As Labanga was, you know, she was okay. And also, I was, I think, away from Labanga, from the family, from the house for 6 years. But she helped me, she helped Labanga. I can, you know, she said to me, but she doesn't need you, Labanga needs you, but to come back home. No? I came back, you know, I came back home. I think that 2.5 years ago, I came back. On one, I know she was saying to me also, if you know, she said to me like that, if a couple like this, you know, she said she will not be able to tolerate that. It will break her heart. You know, she was saying that. She helped me a lot. In the relation, me and Labanga on the shooting. By her mercy, by her compassion, I came back. And once also, and it was last year, no, 2 years ago, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu came in a manner and he did class. And she was amazing by his class. On the day after, I was making sure, oh, she come to see me, she said, oh, Prabhu, she said to me like that. oh, the class was wonderful. And she said to me, it's a pure devotee. Like that, you know. She was very enthusiastic, you know. She said it. But I was always, I've always said to her when she comes to the kitchen, you know, I say, I'm very happy to see you. You know, I was always very happy when she came to the kitchen, but I was making artistry. But always when I was also before making sandwich, I always try to make sandwich as the way she teach me, you know, as the way she was doing. Because what I know, like everybody said today, she was making the sweet with love and affection for Krishna. You know? We don't have that. You know, I don't have this love and affection, not yet. I wish that will come one day for the mercy. But I know that she was making very wonderful sweet, very wonderful sandwich, and even Burfi and Kara. But she was always encouraging me, you know, and I was making Mongol artistry. And always, you know, very sweet. You know, always, I always remember smile. You know, that you would never go. You know, I don't know by which you said that merci or I don't know. I had lots of, you know, association with my parents. It means with a, you know, make Mongol attitude to regard with sweet and easy. I think for me it was a wonderful time when she was coming to the kitchen. I learned from her when she teach me. You know, that I will never forget that. What wonderful devotee. And personally, I think that, you know, we lost a very great soul. Not perhaps will not be like it was when she was here. Mother Kulangana,
Mother Kulangana was somebody that I've been thinking so much of. When was the first time I met her? And I couldn't remember that first moment because it was in the early 80s and she was in England at the time. And but what I do remember is her dancing. She had this interesting, you know, devotees have said that there was something unique about her. And there's lots of unique things. One of them was her dancing. And she really kind of, you know, had a special jaunt that in Kirtan I would stop and just watch her, and she'd be totally absorbed. And I could see that God gave her so much pleasure and she was dancing for Krishna, oblivious of whatever else was going on in the temple. Then all of a sudden she kind of disappeared, and that was mid-80s, and then I heard there was some conference going on in New Vrindavan in the US, and you know, Mother Kulangana is not somebody that I would have thought would be going off to one of these GBC conferences. But anyway, she'd gone. And that was it, she was just gone, and she decided she was staying there, and she started, you know, she lived there for quite some years, making sweets, cooking, and affecting her. Who didn't hear about her at all for quite a few years. And then all of a sudden she was here again, Soho Street, and then she came to the manor. And then she told me what made her leave. Because, you know, I always knew Mother Kulangana as the Prabhupada daughter, right? That was Prabhupada, whatever he said, she did. Right? It was, you know, it was just as clear-cut as that. She just knew where her loyalties lay. She knew where her, you know, by following Prabhupada, she will go back to where he was. She just knew that. So it was very interesting that she said to me, Prabhupada said, women do not take sannyas. Right? I didn't know where that was going, but I was just hearing her, and she said, Kirtanananda wanted to give me sannyas. So that was it, literally typical Mother Kulangana way. As soon as she heard that, she just dropped everything, didn't even go to her room to get a bag. She just walked off even that. Ended up, I don't know, somewhere in Florida or somewhere, and found her way back. By that time, you know, she was wearing white and she used to shave her head. Which was also quite interesting because we hadn't seen that, you know, women shaving their head. She did that for quite some years. Somebody mentioned, devotees mentioned about Mother Kulangana, the Sankirtan devotees, and it was true. She was just so determined, so enthusiastic to go out preaching. Even when she was at the manor and started making sweets, she would go early, make sweets, then get her book bag and stand in the car park to get a lift with anybody who's driving out, to get a lift into town. Now she didn't know how she was going to come back, but it was just one way. Right? She was going to get there and then figure out how she comes back. And on Sankirtan, you know, Sucirani was mentioning how Mother Kulangana could get very close. Right? And she didn't care if she was on the street, she would just be like this on someone's face, and so determined, like spit flying out from her mouth. And the people were totally stunned, but they always walked away with a book. We went out shopping anytime she needed something. I always called her the original recycle queen, because nothing was wasted ever with Mother Kulangana. She would just go and find, you know, if anything broke, she would hunt everywhere in town and every shop to try and find a replacement. I think we went maybe one time 6 times to Curry's to replace a machine from the Dita kitchen until I was embarrassed to face these people again for the 6th time. What the heck do you do with your machines? You know, but she was determined, no, this is Krishna's, we have to go, we have to, you know, change. The one time we had that kind of incident, I don't know if you remember, you know these flasks you get for keeping drinks hot. So the inside of a flask had broken. She wanted to go into town to get an inside. Most devotees would just say, okay, it's broken, throw it away, get another one. No, we have to go hunting to replace the inside of this flask. And so one of those visits, we were in Boreham Wood, in Boots. And we found the flask, and I thought that would be the end of that. But no, she had to have every single person there say Hare Krishna. And the cashier was like, you know, they don't know. And but because she was so persistent, this was a Hare Krishna. Isn't he so fortunate? You look at me, isn't he so fortunate? He said Hare Krishna right in front of them, and you know, so I said, yes, it's very fortunate. But the word, you know, the manageress was called out. I forget why it was, but you know, it was like, anyway, she came out, and she insisted she chant Hare Krishna, and she said, no, I shan't be doing that, madam. Right? And so she turned to me and said, so unfortunate. So I was like, okay, Mother, I think we need to go. And you know, and it was, she wouldn't leave. So unfortunate. And so the woman didn't, you know, she was quite, you know, typical English middle-class lady, quite cultured and that. She wasn't going to be disrespectful to this person, but she didn't want to say it. And she persisted. Eventually, the lady said, well, I shall be saying Hare Krishna. See, she said, so fortunate, isn't she? I said, thank you very much. An old woman, very happy. We just kind of, we laughed and we had that conversation, how unfortunate people are and how Prabhupada has made them so fortunate. So, you know, that kind of sharing, the kindness wasn't just amongst devotees, it was to everybody. Again, another Sankirtan incident. She came to stay at my mother's house, which is like way the other end of London, and to spend a few days. And we got there, we settled her in, and then she decided she wanted to go on Sankirtan. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of books in my car. So she said, Rath Yatra was coming up, so leaflet, or Janmastami was coming up, so leaflets. And I found some leaflets. So she wanted to go to town and distribute leaflets. And I was going to go on Sankirtan myself, but she was just supposed to rest. So she said, you go, and I'm going here, you drop me. So I dropped her into town. My family had businesses in town, so I called my brother, who's not generally a very, supportive, spiritual life kind of person. But somehow she touched him. Right? So I called him, he was at the business, I said, she's there, wandering around in this section, you please run out and keep an eye on her, that she's okay. We were not in the usual places that she would, so I was anxious to leave her on her own. And anyway, at one point, he came back and called and he said, I went to get her and she's not there. And he was panicked, which is like, part of me was panicked because we lost Mother Kulangana, and part of me was just grinning from ear to ear that she had got something out of him that nobody else had ever been able to, right? He was quite emotional about the fact he couldn't find her. So we checked everywhere we could think of, right? Even went the bus route in case she got on a bus. So we went up and down London, the whole bus, 3 bus routes we did, couldn't find her. Then I phoned every hospital in case she passed out, and they'd got her in a hospital, couldn't find her. He'd run around town, couldn't find her. So I'm trying to get the manor, and in those days we just had one phone in the reception. So, and get someone to pick that up was a miracle in itself. So somebody actually eventually picked up, and she wasn't there. So I don't think any of us had been so stressed out. 2 hours later, knock on the door, front door, Hare Krishna, and she was like, I went on, sorry. I said, he's where? But she went shopping as well, so every time he was looking, she was in a shop, so they missed each other. Anyway, it was the 4 hours of the most anxious time we've ever had. But she went out there just to, and I know when she went shopping, she was interacting with these people in the shop to get them all to chant Hare Krishna, and then she'd come out with leaflets and people invite them to Janmastami. So she was such a preacher, and it wasn't. She preached at the temple, she preached outside, it was just who she was. There's so many kind of, when you talk about, Radha Karuna Prabhu, Mother Mohan Prabhu, her 2 sons, right? But when she was kind of, her body was aging and she was struggling. Lugging those huge churns and huge pots in a big kitchen, and so we had to kind of, as a society, we hadn't quite got used to the needs of the elderly yet, because decision makers weren't in that, they weren't of that age, so the experience wasn't there. And I know, I used to think how many elderly people we had come in the temple and make them sit on the floor cross-legged when they could barely move for arthritis, and that now we have chairs. But Mother Kulangana was one of the first within our society, within our community, to have these other needs, and we weren't kind of ready for that. She needed, different diets, so certain vegetables affected her, so she needed other kinds of vegetables. Arthritis was affecting her, so she needed, saunas helped her, so things like that. So we had to make all kinds of arrangements to get help from social services and things. But she was the only person I know that used to keep all her accounts and all her bank stuff in order and things like that. So I know that she was the only one that I knew that would get a letter from the social services saying, we are very pleased to increase your allowance. Right? Usually people complain that their allowance was cut, but she was the only one who and then she used that. She used it to just do things for other devotees.
Hare